Welcome back to Central Valley Talk, Real Estate and Home Improvement Show, where we talk to realtors, real estate brokers, people who do real estate. Also, we talk to people who repair homes, help you get loans, things like that. Our guest today does a special kind of real estate, Rod Holt. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you, Mike. Nice to be here.
And you do all kinds of real estate, but you have this great specialty, right?
I do.
You help people sell businesses.
I help people sell or buy.
Sell or buy, yeah. It's something that every real estate realtor thinks they can do. I've tried it a couple times, and it was a disaster.
You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can think you know what you're doing, but right. Unless you've had some significant experience in it,
yeah.
It's a difficult sale.
You have to do what I call like packaging. Got to package it up. People have to know what they're buying.
That's exactly right.
And usually there's, I don't want to say usually, I bet often there's no real estate involved at all.
No real estate, yeah. They're real estate from the standpoint that there's leases. Mm-hmm. And usually if somebody's going to go sell their business and they're leasing property, the first thing they've got to do is determine whether that lease is transferable or not. Mm-hmm. I've had a number of sales fall apart.
Yeah.
Because I didn't make sure that happened.
Yeah.
That I knew the.
You want to do that as one of your first steps, and not when you're getting ready to close.
It's got to be the second one. You know.
I guess there's a lot of value in location. Their location.
Right.
Their business has been there for 20 years, and people know where it is and
right.
how to get there and things like that. So.
That's correct. Yeah. So I mean, location is essential, but it isn't, and it's probably more essential for restaurants and retail establishments. Yeah. But whereas manufacturers and wholesalers and that type of thing, there's a whole lot more flexibility as far as location is concerned.
But you certainly don't want to get into it and then find out that you know you're not going to have the same building that you had hoped to, or
that's right,
or that the lease doesn't double or something like that.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, you got to get all that worked out beforehand, because that's a deal killer.
When I talk about packaging it up, where's the value in a business?
All right. Just like you have your home appraised before you put it on the market, or at least have some comps that you're using to give you some indicator of what you should be selling for. When you have a business, you get it appraised. And there's people who do business appraisers. They are licensed to do that. And what typically is included inside the purchase, there's two types of purchases. One is an asset purchase, and the other is a stock purchase. So the asset purchase, you go in and you look at the value of the inventory, you look at the sales, the net profit of the business, you look at those values, and you look at what is the standard multiplier for the industry. And so you take net profit and you use that multiplier to determine what the value of the business is.
It might be 10 times.
More than likely, you're looking at 3 to 4 times.
3 to 4 times.
And it's a multiplier of net profit. And net profit can be reconstructed to add back to things that kind of go away when you go away. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you've been working your business for a number of years and you've boosted your salary up every year, but you could hire somebody to do what you're doing for much less than what you're paying yourself. Well, the difference between what could be paid to somebody to do what you're doing and what you're doing could be added back to net profit.
Would you do the appraisal as part of the process of getting ready to sell?
Yes.
And then would the buyer come in and get their own appraisal?
Typically, you're using somebody who's going to be independent enough that the bank will use that appraisal.
I was going to get to that question. Who's going to lend on a business? Will a bank lend? Will it have to be a government loan?
You can use banks. They'll do it on a conventional, and you can use SBA. Mm-hmm. There's other lines out there. Probably even find hard money loans where you pay a higher interest rate, but you don't have to go through all the the qualifiers and everything that banks put you through.
Yeah.
And it can be seller financed as well.
Seller, is that common?
That is common.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues that come into this. I mean, when you're selling your business, you want the most that you can get for it,
right,
but you want to not sell it to somebody to where it harms them and they can't make a profit out of it. So pieces of the puzzle all have to come together and work together, because the buyers and sellers are at odds. Buyers want ordinary income, sellers want capital gain income out of it, and there's conflict. So you got to allocate the purchase price in a fashion that's both representative of what the assets are and what the goodwill is, and value it as such.
Now, if somebody's going to sell their business, it would be good for them to call you.
Absolutely.
But if somebody was wanting to buy a business, they also would call you.
Absolutely.
Now, do people, I don't know, I knew a guy, he had inherited a little money, and he saw there was a radiator shop for sale, and he went and bought the business. He knew nothing about radiator shops. But, you know, the guy he bought it from, he stayed on and trained him for a few months, and then, you know, set him loose with his own business. I mean, is that how people list and sell businesses?
That happens in many different ways.
Anyways,
so,
yeah.
I mean, we as brokers are an intermediary. We help make sure that what is listed out there is indeed what is being sold. I mean, we try to, our reputation, we can be sued for not going through and making sure what
right,
the seller is telling you to sell is indeed available for sale.
Right. I just picture any business that sells, either an employee or a family member is buying it. Is that the predominant, or is it?
Not predominant. It's part of it, but I mean, I don't have a number for you as to who does that, but most family type businesses want to pass it on to their offspring. But many times they don't. Offspring have lived in it all their lives,
yeah,
and they're tired of it.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily want to be a part of it. So it's, you know, it depends on the experience. I'm not saying the work experience. I'm saying the emotional experience that a child has working in the business.
Isn't always good. My kids won't even come in the building here because I'm always giving them a duty or a task. Also, I've seen some businesses buy one of their suppliers. I've seen that happen a few times.
Absolutely. And so when you go out looking for, I mean, if you're wanting to buy a business, we figure out what it is that's going to complement the existing. I mean, let's start again. If you're going to buy a business, you got to find out what you want. All right. If you're an existing business, then, and you want to add to your business or buy another business, you want to find out, how do I complement what I already have? So if I'm buying supplies from a large company and I might be one of their bigger customers, I'll buy that company, supply myself with that, and offer it to the public as well.
Yeah.
So there's multiple reasons for acquiring a business.
Also, I've seen most businesses don't start out by buying a big old building and opening a business. Usually they've built, even from a hobby to something bigger, and it grew and grow and grow over time. So it's not always a full package from where they started. They may not even intended to go where they were with their business.
That's correct.
Yeah.
For the most part, you find that somebody who is just stepping into the business for the first time probably doesn't have enough capital to buy the real estate. Yeah. And so there's going to be a lease arrangement that's built up between the owner of the property, which we're hoping is the seller of the business, and so you can set up a lease to purchase business relationship. You can just do a straight lease. You can do right of first refusal on the thing. A number of different types of leases
Right.
can be put in place.
Point I was headed to before I got distracted was I have experience at this. I'm a real estate broker and I've listed 2 businesses for sale. I've sold none. But if you're going to sell your business, you want to talk to somebody who's done dozens and dozens and dozens of them, like Rod Holt here. Not just your average.
Right, it's complicated because it's not the same escrow as a real estate escrow. It's a bulk sales transfer. There's lots of pieces to that. So when in the real estate world, you're transferring real property, there's laws associated with that. But when you get into the business, you have personal property. Personal property gets transferred through a bulk sales process, and the commercial real estate laws govern in that. So you got to be in compliance there.
Now you talked a little bit about a risk that if the broker, you for example, doesn't have all the facts straight, or maybe the seller misrepresented some of the facts, that could come back on the broker.
It does. We do our best to push all the responsibility for all the numbers back to the seller.
And my point in bringing that up is if someone's thinking of selling their business, if it's handled by an inexperienced person or it's mishandled, that could come back on that seller. That's why you want to call somebody who's done it a few times.
Absolutely.
How many have you done? Dozens? Hundreds? Thousands?
I wish I could say that.
Significant.
It's a significant
You have
number.
significant experience and background. You were an accountant, I think.
I'm a CPA, yes.
That helps.
Retired, yeah. So that, my wife had a brain injury that necessitated a change in life. So I took my CPA experience and tried to put it into another type of business that wasn't as demanding, and so I looked into becoming a real estate broker and a business broker.
Business broker, yeah. But I bet you help a lot of people.
We do. I mean, you call us, we talk to you. You know, we try to give you general information. We don't try to give you specific things as it comes to you personally, but we try to give you the general. When you decide you want to use us, we have a variety of ways of approaching that. Mm-hmm. Remember, no matter whether you're buying or selling, there's work that you have to do to make it happen. Just like if you're going to sell your house, you got to paint it. If you decide you're going to paint it yourself, great. Mm-hmm. If not, you got to get somebody to paint it for you. Putting together a business package as a seller, that's the first step. The second thing is when you've got a contract in place, the buyer is given a due diligence period of time where he can come in and do his best to verify everything that you've given him, look at the business, look at how it operates. There's certain proprietary information the seller is not going to give the buyer until he's committed.
Right.
But like equipment like customer lists. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't recommend that occur until
the very end.
Until the very end. Yeah. Then, as a buyer, you've got responsibility. You need to have a personal financial statement put together. You need to, if you need money to buy something, you need to go looking for a loan before you step into the arena.
So it's not just the seller that has a bunch of work to do. The
Both
buyer
sides.
does too. Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy. I saw a guy who was buying a liquor store, and they made the agreement, made the transaction. They went and closing day, all the liquor is gone. And he said, "Where's the stock?" There has to be some agreement up front about that. I would imagine.
So typically, there is we like to enter into things with a letter of intent. Mm-hmm. So then you hash out all of the little pieces of a contract, and if that gets accepted, then I personally like to go in and get a purchase agreement put together where the buyer is expected to put down an earnest money deposit.
Especially for releasing your proprietary information and
exactly.
Like that, yeah. Okay.
And so that's my recommendation, because I want a committed buyer that is not going to steal, not intentionally take your information. We go with any buyer, we do a non-disclosure agreement where a buyer agrees to receive information but not to disclose it except to his advisors, and when he signs that document, he's signing for his advisors as well, that they won't disclose anything.
I think what we figured out here today, Rod, is this is a very, very complex thing that most of us who've never sold or bought a business have no idea where to even start.
Right.
So call Rod Holt. Where should they start? Should they go to your website or just call you on that phone number?
Call me on the phone, 559-859-5759, or send me an email. It's rholtandco@gmail.com.
Very good. And the web address is there?
Web address is there.
rhhandco.com?
.com.
Very good.
I want you to know that I am the broker for a group that's with Transworld Business Brokers.
Okay.
And we work through Transworld.
Okay.
So that's an important.
Gives you a little heft behind you.
That's an international company. So we're out there exposing your business. Let me also say this: one of the major issues for a seller is confidentiality. We try our best to accommodate that. If he's not worried about confidentiality, it gives us a little more freedom in what we can do. But
very good. Thank you, Rod.
You bet.
Appreciate this valuable information. If you're going to buy a business, sell a business, don't do it on your own. Call Rod Holt. And we'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.